Good morning, everyone. Welcome into our Saturday morning coaches show. I'm Don Julian. We have Coach Greg Owens with us as we wrap up the football season and the show that a lot of people really like a lot. Coach Owens getting a chance to talk about what I counted as 32 seniors, Coach. I think we started with 35, then 33, and 32 was the latest count, but the ones that are left, and we'll let Coach Owens talk about them, and that'll be coming up shortly. As always, we'll tell you quickly now, because this is going to be a long show, so we'll tell you quickly some other things, some other sports going on. Wildcats basketball playing in a Duncanville tournament today, and then this coming week they'll be at Paris on Tuesday, and then they'll be playing Thursday through Saturday in the Spring Creek tournament in Mansfield. So that's Wildcats basketball. Lady Cats basketball will be hosting Terrell on Tuesday, and then Thursday through Saturday they'll be in the Winsboro tournament, the Hoop Fest. Winsboro Hoop Fest. And the only other thing to talk about, Wildcats and Lady Cats soccer begins practice on Monday. So that's everything else. And so we will just go ahead and dive right in. Before we get into the seniors, just Coach wanted to get your overall impression of the football game against Frisco by district for the Wildcats.
Yeah, kind of left a bad taste in our mouth, I guess, a little bit. And well, quite a bit, to be honest with you, but we just didn't play up to par. It's kind of like we'd finished the season a little bit, and I felt like defensively we got after it. Kids played hard. I felt like played hard on both sides of the ball. Again, our offensive woes just kind of caught up to us, and I think we had a 17-play drive, a 13-play drive, but just could not get clicking again. Just could not make plays when we needed to make plays, and so that was really kind of disappointing, to do that. And with a team like those guys and running the wing tee, I thought our defense did a great job. You said, well, golly, they gave up 41. Well, some of that is you got to score some points. We've always been around here. You got to score points, and it kind of energizes the whole team, and it kind of both sides of the football really feed off of that. So once we let Frisco, we played in their game plan, start grinding it down on us, it just kind of wears our guys down. And it seemed like as the game went on, their running backs just kept running stronger and started running through some arm tackles and those kind of things. So it all just kind of balances out a little bit there, and both sides. But our offense, had to pick it up. We didn't quite get it in the end zone like we needed to, put points on the board, and that was really frustrating for us to get that. So, but it is what it is, and you move forward, and I'm proud of our kids, the way they fought. It was a beautiful facility they got to play in. We'd like to be playing South Oak Cliff this week, but don't have that opportunity. But, it's just one of those deals.
Now, this, I think, is our 13th season together with you coaching the Wildcats and me at KSST. So I've kind of developed a feel sometime for the way you're thinking, I believe anyway. But, like on onside kicks, when you begin to onside kick, it's usually because you don't want to give that ball back to that offense. And I kind of felt the same way on 3rd down and 1 from your own 29 in the third quarter. Yeah. They're up 20-7, but you saw something. They're beginning to roll or something.
Well, every time they got the ball, they're rolling off 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, you stopped them. I mean, just the nature of their offense. It was kind of they weren't a hurry-up offense, but they did rush to the line of scrimmage. They'd wait till 10 seconds to get the play in, then they turn and run the line of scrimmage and run the play, and then they're going to milk it down. So, I mean, you're running at that point in time. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. There's sometimes we kick onside kicks for a surprise element or to go for the dagger, and there's other times there's almost a desperation. And I felt like we were getting to that point right there. Hey, we got to steal a possession here somehow, and we got to keep this thing going. So, that kind of deal. So we roll the dice, we go for it, and they stone us. I mean, bottom line is they just killed us and beat us inside, and it's just one of those things. It was hard to overcome. But I kind of felt like our defense was really tired and getting worn down, and I didn't know if we had it in us to get another good stop, and the energy didn't seem to be there. So that was one of those things. You roll the dice, say, here we go. If you get it, that's great. Let's go. We got another 3 downs. If not, yeah, you probably have just sealed the game probably, and that's kind of what happened with us. Yeah. And they continue to roll it up.
Absolutely, yeah, with a limited number of possessions in the game, and like you say, and it was late in the third quarter, so you weren't, you give up the football, and then who knows what happens. But so understand that. Let's take a first internal break. We'll go ahead and take the first one a little bit early here, and we'll come back and dive into these seniors right after this. Back here on the Saturday morning coaches show, we're talking with Wildcats football coach Greg Owens, and it's senior day on the Coach's Show, Coach, and so I'm going to love to talk about these guys. This has been I think, almost an overachieving group to me. They surprised me. I mean, maybe I bought into all that sixth place finish and all that kind of stuff, and these guys surprised me. I opened the season 5-0. They really off to a great start. But number one, Austin Dodd.
Yeah, I mean, just an overall for these seniors. These guys just been a hard-working class. I mean, they really like being around each other. It's a fun group. You know, we had ups and downs on offense and defense this year, but it was really a close group that didn't get after each other. It was not one of those things you're separating offensive, defensive guys in the locker room and all that kind of stuff. Not really. They understood we got to play together. They were really good friends, and man, I mean, they did a great job of just battling through stuff and fighting it. And hey guys, you know, we challenged at the beginning of the year. Here's what they're picking you at. That's a challenge for you. You know, you got a chip on your shoulder now. Let's go show out. Let's go do something. So, no, I'm proud of these guys. Investment they've made in the summertime in our Edge program, and just the hard work that they put in. A lot of these guys put in a lot of extra. They'd stay after practice, catch ball, come early, ball machines out. I mean, they were doing a lot of stuff just throwing, and they really like each other. They genuinely enjoyed playing with each other, and I think that's big for a team. They care about each other, and you play for each other, and, you know, there's not a lot of divisiveness and all that in there, and not a lot of selfishness where he's getting the ball. It's just kind of they understood all that. You know, there's a lot of guys, and I'll talk about that kind of stood up. And, you know, Austin Dodd, what a great athlete. I mean, he's an outstanding young man, played his tail off, safety, slot receiver, whatever. I mean, we had talked about putting him in the backfield at running back. He could play all four receiver positions. He could even played Wildcat quarterback, which we had discussions about. We never went to it, but he's that kind of athlete. He's got enough savvy. He knows what to do. Get the ball in the guy's hands and let him go to work. And a great returner, punt returner, kick returner. I mean, he's a guy we needed to get the ball to be successful. We knew that. A lot of ball games, you'll see him get doubled. I mean, he had a lot of double coverage and doing those things from the slot position, and you know, and he battled. I'm talking, he battled. Now, I hope he gets the opportunity to play at the next level. We'll see how all that goes. That's not in my control, and but those guys. But I think he's talented enough to do that.
All right. If he needs some highlight video, we got plenty.
Well, he's got plenty.
He provided it this year. Next up, Damian Dugan, wide receiver, kick returner, defensive back.
And that's going to be kind of a theme. A lot of these guys for us this year, we had to have guys go both ways. We carried, I think, 52 guys on the varsity, like you said, and we ended the year with 32 seniors, and you know, just another talented young man that could play slot for us, a really good corner, technical corner. He's not as big and tall as maybe some guys are looking for, but a great technician, a smart kid, understood those things. A lot of people don't know this. He fought through injuries for the last 2 years, knocked down shoulders and ankle. I mean, just stuff. So I don't know if he ever really felt good except at the starting of a year. And even though this last game or game before, I mean, he's holding his shoulder coming out. I mean, there's just stuff going on. But he battled, and he's a tough kid, played hard. Again, a shifty guy that can do a lot of stuff. So we used him as much as we can, too, in the slot. And then a lot of our thing was these guys, we're going to start them on defense, and then we're going to rest them on offense. So we pick our series and those things with them and just kind of slide them in and out. So he and Dodd traded sometimes at that slot position. And then Damien, we got him out wide some. So, again, same thing. Very smart kid that can be able to move in and out and all around. So he helped us a lot.
Very glad to see number 7 play in the by-district game, Jace Thompson. Your holder for you, safety back there, wide receiver, even caught a pass in the game.
And you know, I mean, the things that people don't see is somebody you just mentioned, he's a holder for us. I mean, that's just a job. Until that goes wrong, nobody notices the holder until it goes wrong. But Jace's personality, he's just a laid-back kid. He's competitive. He doesn't seem like it all the time, but he's very laid back. But he is a competitive young man and a very talented young man. You know, did a great job for us as a receiver. He was also the safety. He's the holder. He returned punts. I mean, again, another one of those kiddos that just do multiple things. And, he had a fight. We thought when he hurt his foot, we thought, well, he's going to be done for the year maybe. There was that thought in his mind. But the doctor told him 2 weeks. Well, next thing you know, I mean, he's wearing this boot for 2 exact weeks, took it off the next day. He said, I'm ready to go. So he was anxious to get back out there. Again, he's just that guy. He'll do whatever you ask him to do, and he'll work hard for you. And, you know, we missed him in our end of our run right there in the district play. He would, I think, help quite a bit. He's a good target outside for us, sure-handed guy. And but I was so glad for him to get to play his last last ball game in a playoff game, and so you hate to see a kid's season end with an injury and not get that opportunity to do that. You always want to kind of end on the field.
Spirit of the Wildcat right
Yes,
there
sir.
from Chase Thompson. DeCorian Young, quarterback, man, where would we be without him? Great dual threat, and just can do it all back there.
I'm not making excuses, and we don't talk about injuries on Wednesdays and all that kind of stuff. We kind of got to shut down on that mode. But I mean, people don't know this, but he tore his ACL 4 weeks out.
Oh my goodness!
So he was playing our last 4 games with a partially torn ACL, and so we did not see him run. I mean, the whole thing was kind of predicated a little bit around him. Yes, he's got a lively arm, those things, but with our read game with our quarterback and being able to run him and the things that he did with his legs, I mean, electric arm. He's got a live arm, can throw any throw on the field. But his mobility, when he started getting knocked down in the pocket, it really started to hurt us and offensively and hurt him, and I think it hurt his confidence quite a bit. But no, I mean, what a great talent he is. He understood our offense. He understood our game. Again, he could make all those throws, and he was pretty electric too. When he started, we didn't want him running around, but when he did, I mean, he would always make something play. So some of the biggest plays this year that everybody remembers, a great play to Jermond, in the middle, great plays to Dodd and Landry, and just him running around making a play. And then his ability just to extend and get first downs. We missed that at the last part of our season. So when people don't want to know that, you don't really throw that out there in the media, and you don't want your opponent to really know that because they're going to heat you up even more. And so, that was one of those things. So it just really kind of handcuffed us a little bit what we could do, and just because we just played off his natural ability with his natural runs and stuff. So, but man, what a great kid. It's just to watch him mature and to grow up and to get where he was his senior year and step into a leadership role and play as well as he did as a quarterback. I mean, we're definitely going to miss him.
Absolutely. People wonder about, the way the offense changed. There you go. There's your answer right there. But again, it's like hockey, he's got an injury. It's a lower body injury or upper body. They're not even going to, because all hockey players will be putting that stick right in where that injury is.
Well, I mean, he sucked it up, and he had a great attitude, and he came to work every day. I mean, he didn't miss a practice. I mean, he put a knee brace on, and here we go, and it was hurting him. He had treatments in the mornings just to try to get, where it was feeling good, and I think he got to a point where it felt good. But, we had it was a 4th, and I believe it was a 4th and 1 or 2 something. We call a little bootleg, and usually he's just going to run and just glide and get the first. It was struggle for him to even get that. So, those are frustrating for him and the offense and everybody else, but there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it was the way it is, and you roll with it.
Yeah, I think Jimmy mentioned that on the broadcast that, back early in the season he would have made that first down, but he came up a yard short on that one. And that seemed to be the theme for that game, too.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many. 1 yard short of the first down. I said that a million times during that game. Next player is, he's got a personality, DQ Pitts. And he made some huge plays this year from that outside linebacker position. How do you talk about this guy?
Well, DQ's a live wire. Now, I'm telling you, he
That's
is energy.
That's a good way to put it.
He is energy all the time. I mean, it does. I mean, if something's going on, DQ's involved in it. I mean, I don't mean that badly. I'm just saying if there's energy and emotion, he's in the middle of all that. He just loves, and his personality is just outgoing and just, playful and all that kind of stuff. And he's a passionate player. I mean, he, a lot of times, and, usually he's encouraging the other teammate, the other players on the other team, telling them how good he is at times. But I don't mean that ugly, but I'm just saying he's a passionate guy, and he brought a ton to our defense this year. He's a young man, as a sophomore, tore his knee up against White House or Sherman.
First game of the year.
Well, Sherman then. It'd be Sherman.
Punt return.
On a punt return. And as a growing up, he's been a great punt return guy. And I'm telling you, he took a shot straight to the knee, tore his ACL all the way up, and it's just been a process for him getting back, from all that. And then for him to be able, and he's still kind of dragging that leg because he's got the knee brace on it and all that, and it frustrates him. And really, it hurt his development as a player because he didn't get to run track. He's still a short strider. Usually in track, we get those guys, we lengthen their stride out, we get them developed a little better, their speed's better, they're a little more fluid. He missed a bunch of that training. And he doesn't mind working. Now, you get DQ there, he will work his tail off. Mm-hmm. He just loves competing. Great competitor. I'd call him a competitor, probably number one. Yeah. And maybe the toughest competitor on our team. he will battle at anything for you. And so, but it was great having him because he did a great job at outside linebacker, made some huge plays, and just brought a lot of energy and a lot of emotion. And the other guys fed off of that. I mean, he was serious about it. He would challenge them, and so he played some receiver for us, but that really wasn't his niche. His niche was to get in there and mix it up at backer, and he did a phenomenal job of doing that for us. And a special teams guy too. I mean, wherever. I mean, he not gonna argue with you. He coach put me out there. Let's go. I mean, he's on every kickoff return. He's on every kickoff. And when he runs down kickoff, I mean, he's not the first. He's the next one. He's always busting it. So great energy guy, great competitor. He'll be missed.
Remember him as a freshman player playing basketball, and he's one of those players you describe as playing with like his hair's on fire. Mm-hmm. That's the way, and he plays football just the same way. Yeah. Let's take our second internal break, back with more seniors right after this. Back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, we're going over the Wildcat football seniors. And the next guy had a great year, Coach. Daniel Moreno, your inside linebacker. And he was another one of those unfortunate players that missed a whole season, came back roaring this year, and looked very good in the middle.
Yeah, first year we started spring ball back, Daniel had a little simple play. I don't even think anybody touched him. He kind of slid and moved on in a spring game, and he tore his ACL. I mean, it was a simple looking play, and you thought, man. But that hurt him. That set him back too. It's another one of those things. ACL is just a tough injury. You can play with it, but I mean, just the recovery and that. I mean, it's at least a year process for you to get back, and then you may or may not be back, like I mentioned with DQ a while ago, to full strength or whatever. So it's a unique thing. But man, I don't know if you ask me to describe Daniel one word. I don't know. I think toughness. I mean, he's just a tough kid, and he's the most pleasant young man, polite young man you're ever going to talk to. But you put him on the football field, I mean, he is tough. I mean, the bottom line, he's taking on 300-pound guards all year long, and he's just such a physical, tough guy in there. And I was so happy. I didn't know going in this season. And then I've never told him this, but we as coaches, I didn't think he could play it in there. I didn't think he could hold up. I didn't think he could make it. I thought he was still working, but the competitive spirit in him and his toughness allowed him to do that and become a dominant inside linebacker for us. I mean, the plays he made, and people in the stands, they don't see them. They'll see the single play, but when you break down the film on Saturday morning and you watch number 10 play, wow. He was physical in there. He stuffed holes. He just was he's like having another defensive lineman, the toughness of a defensive lineman at linebacker. Not the fastest guy, not the speedy guy, but he is a true Mike that's just going to plug the gaps and get in there and do the nasty, dirty work. So, that love that kid to death. I'm telling you, and he's going to be a successful person, and he's just driven. I don't know if he's got an enemy one. I know people just love Daniel. He's got such a great spirit about him, and he's just got such great drive. He's going to be a very successful person in life.
All right. And right next to him, a lot of the season, Bryce McQueen is an inside linebacker. But when you put together the Wildcat highlight reel for this season, it would include a 92-yard touchdown pass from Colton Young to Bryce McQueen. That was a highlight of the season for me.
And I think we all voted on that. There was some social media side too. Vote for the play of the game, play of the week. And, Bryce, his whole career, we had a hard time figuring out where Bryce fits in. Is he quite fast enough, big enough to this spot? And he kind of bloomed, but he's a late bloomer. It seemed like maybe his beginning of his junior year is when he really started to grow and he really started to fill out. So it's kind of, is he a receiver? Is he a running back? Is he a linebacker? We didn't really know where to put him, to be honest with you. And then this last spring, I mean, just getting down, had the opportunity to work the inside linebacker some this last spring, and I really felt like he was too undersized. But again, he's so fast. He could move and run and make plays, and that's really what we needed at the wheel spot. And, man, I'm telling you what, he had a great year because he could run guys down out on the edge and go get after it. He didn't love those guys coming right after him, the physical guy like Daniel was, but he had a way to get around those guys. He was physical enough in there to hold up and do that. But where he was such an asset is running side to side. He made a ton of plays just running side. And just his athleticism and his speed, and they were able to start slipping in at receivers some too. And he's got great hands. He really has tremendous hands. And I don't know, at time because we never really knew. I don't know he ever really got comfortable in one spot. We put him at the Y, put him at the H. And then we're playing him at linebacker. So there's a lot of stuff going on in his mind. Trying to get him settled into a spot. But man, he had a great year for us. a tenacious guy, again, a special teams guy because of his athleticism, running down the field, covering on kicks, doing all those things for us too. So, again, a talented young man, a great attitude. He'll do whatever you ask him to do. He's just coming to work every day. I mean, I can't tell you that if he ever loafed or did anything like that. Another one just loved to compete. He wasn't one of those guys. He's going to be at practice. He's going to get there. If he's late, he's just going to smile at you, and he's going to jump right in the line. And here we go, Coach. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. I mean, he's one of those team guys, and he did a great job. And Bryce had a great career for us.
All right. Next, Blaine Hohenberger.
Yeah, Blaine is a guy that. Heck, he grew up playing quarterback, receiver, played some corner, did all those kind of things. And, he a little bit got lost in the shuffle on some of that kind of stuff, but a senior that continued to plug and get in there. And we still played him a little bit of receiver and some outside linebacker, moved him to outside linebacker his senior year to get him on the field and helped us on some special team stuff. But a great, unselfish kid that just worked his tail off, too. Great demeanor. I mean, just, again, unselfish team player. I can't say enough about him. Just a positive kiddo.
All right. Landry Tyson, a wide receiver. We expected that, but, boy, I did not expect him to be such a good safety this year. And he's a poster boy for the Edge program. He comes out of that thing looking really like he's ready to play.
I mean, if I describe Landry, I'd say work ethic. I mean, the guy is a worker. Great attitude, team guy, work his tail off. I mean, you talk about a guy catching balls every day. I mean, he's the guy. He's catching the ball machine every single day. He's working on his trade every day. He loves working. He loves competing. All those things, and he was valuable to us at receiver. And, man, he came on and started making some big plays the last half of the season. He made some great catches, some great first downs. He just did a great job. He's a big physical kid, still filling out, still growing, long, lanky. He can run. He's a physical blocker on the edge. But I still contend his most valuable portion to us, probably this team, was at safety.
Yeah.
At safety, he did a great job. He can cover a lot of ground. He was a good tackler for us. Again, he's this big physical body. Now, in high school, I had the opportunity to play both ways sometimes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You want to be on the field, but sometimes you may play a quarter, you don't even know where you are because you're so tired. I think that's the way he and Dodd both were. They played, I don't think they remember some of the plays that they played out there just because they were exhausted. But they're both just so tough and fought through it. And that was Landry. I mean, they had to get a break. We got him a break. But multi-talented, he can do it all too. You talking about we took him off. We took he and Dodd both off a bunch of special teams because they were going to play so much on offense and on defense. We tried to rest them. But at the same time, we knew we could go grab either one of them and grab and put them right back in there as soon as we needed them. And they're just good football players. They're great people. Work ethic, and I can't say enough about Landry. I mean, his attitude and his heart and his drive, and so I'm so glad he came and joined us and was a part of this. And again, his leadership was great too. He's a guy that in workouts and stuff, it seems like he doesn't get tired. He's another one of those guys. He loves to work out. He loves the physicality of that. He loves the challenge of that and the competitiveness of it. And again, a great kid. But you don't worry about him or his grades, or he's just going to take care of business. No matter what, he's going to do right and be there, and he's dependable. Which so many of these guys were. We didn't have to go find them and look them up, and they took care of their business. They were there. You asked them to do something, they did it, and they were all just great team players too.
All right. Another one of those combination wide receiver, defensive back kind of guys, Connor Bergen for you.
Yeah, Connor, the last 2 summers, Connor's had a phenomenal 7-on-7, and I just saw his confidence and his growth, him just kind of grow up, and we counted on him a bunch this year. To come in, to step in at corner out there, to step in receiver at times, just see him. He's a very quiet young man, but he loves working too. He loved just being a part of the group with the team and being a part of that and getting his reps when he got them. But I mean, I love to see his maturity as a young man grow up, and contribute. And just get after it. And I think it was a lot of it just his belief that he could go and do that. So when he started to transform and start making some plays, man, it was a big help for us as it gave us a lot of more depth at the corner position, and then depth at receiver too. So it was big. I think he slipped in and got a touchdown. Oh, no, I think he stopped short. So and I think my comment said, "Man, you just needed 2 more yards in this deal." And he said, "I want to give somebody else a chance to get in, Coach. It's all right." So he's a quiet guy, but he has some quick wit to him, and just to see his personality come out, see him mature, I mean that speaks volumes.
Absolutely. One of your linebacker guys, Kayson Church,
Yeah.
kind of a physical kind of guy for you.
Yeah, Church. Man, here's an excuse again, but you go back. Church fought some injuries. Church got hurt in spring ball last year in one of the practices. He ended up breaking, I think, his fibula, and so he struggled with that for a long time trying to get back. And then we get into 2-a-days, and he is on fire. Now he lost some stuff because he didn't get to work out in the summer, but he comes in and he ends up breaking his hand. And then so we had issues with his hand, so he kind of got behind in a little bit of that kind of stuff, but he fought through it all, and he got back and he got in it. So, but no, a physical outside linebacker player for him and DQ battling for a spot, and because of his injuries and DQ's exceptional play, DQ kind of won the spot there, but Church was a constant rotation. He's the first guy Coach G grabbed, and he would either go to Sam for K-Row, or you come back over here for DQ, but he was the next guy rolling in. He's a special teams guy. He's a guy I counted on the punt team up there to get us all straightened up and doing that because he's been doing it for so long. I mean, he understood it, and those guys are invaluable too. I mean, just his knowledge of all that stuff and the ability to go in and do that, But his dream, he wants to be a Navy SEAL. And so he is on that deal, and I'm so excited for him and the opportunity he's got in front of him. And that's a lot of these guys we hadn't really talked about, what their future dreams are and what they want to do. And he's targeted now. I mean, he's a guy that, he's a team player all the way through. I mean, he's a guy that's going to get out there and get it, and he's going to be defending our country here pretty soon. And so not a better guy to do that. But absolutely. A great kiddo, worked his butt off. I can't say enough about him either.
All right, linebacker, and we're kind of in a linebacker mode here. Rashawn Becerra.
Yeah, Rio went through some in and out. I think an injury or two. I can't remember with him a little bit this year too. But he was another one of those outside linebackers, an athletic guy. We played him inside. We tried to play him outside. We played him as receiver. He's kind of this guy. We didn't quite know where he fit in. Again, so he kind of rotated to a bunch of those spots, but we settled with him with some special teams, some outside linebacker play. Again, an athletic guy that can run around and do those things, but a little bit undersized. So there are certain moments and times that he was right in this game and not in this game and those kind of things, but still helped us tremendously on special teams. And he had a great attitude this entire year of just getting out there and being around the guys, and he's pretty laid back, kind of easygoing guy too. So another fun guy to bet and be around. And we joked around a bunch and got on him a bunch, and he just gives you that smile too and says, okay, whatever, and he rocks on. But great kid. Wish him the very best too.
Absolutely. Another senior running back, very unselfish, and Matt Young calls him Sunshine.
Yeah, Colton Allen. Colton, just a tough kiddo. I mean, he really is. And I mean, he's a guy that we've had on the varsity since he was a sophomore, and just keeps getting better and kept figuring it out, kept understanding he could go get the tough yards. He ended up kind of doing a lot of the inside tough stuff on the runnings, but I mean, he had some big ball games. It just, we had 3 really good running backs this year, and all 3 of them were unselfish with it. I know Colton said, hey, no, I want Chalk to go in this time and get this touchdown. Right. I've already got one. He needs one. So there's just a lot of that stuff going on. Colton's a tough kid, hard worker. He might be the toughest and one of the best open field tacklers that we had. He didn't have a lot of confidence in himself and covering the pass, but man, he did a great job at open field tackling and doing those things. And then he was also a guy we brought in for pass downs for pass pro. Did a great job of understanding that as a senior, and he just continued to get better at that. And his hands turned out to be pretty good too. Weren't great, but he was there, and all 3 of those guys are still developing and doing that stuff for the screen games and those things. So he kind of turned into this complete back time his senior year was here, and just loved what he brought to the table. He is a very not outspoken. He's a very quiet, but a very competitive kid. Yeah. I mean, he's probably tougher on himself than any kid on this whole roster. I mean, he keeps a lot of that stuff pent up inside of him, but he's a great competitor, and just a tough kid, and he fights and fights and fights. And in my mind, I'm running through some of the runs that he's made, just some of the tough things that he's done, and again, he's had a really good career, yeah. And we're going to wish him the very best. and he's got some dreams too about what he wants to go and do. So I'm excited for these kiddos that are already kind of thinking about their future and what they want to do, and not just living in the moment right now, but they do have some dreams with that. And so I think he's going to get a chance to go accomplish all that.
All right. I think the toughest position in modern football is the cornerback.
Yeah.
And a very, very good year for Andy Edens for you out on the corner.
Well, guys that are critiqued the most will be quarterbacks and corners. Everybody seems to have the answers for all those guys. They're easy to cast stones at them as quickly, but corners are typically put on the island by themselves out there, and those guys have to make plays. And that's just a deal. And that's we talked about Damian before. Now we talked about Andy. Andy grew up this year. Last year he didn't have a whole lot of confidence in himself. But I don't know what started. He started making plays for us. And this year, his old head swelled up, his chest swelled up. And he said, "I got this." And so you've got to have that bravado about you to play out there on the corner. So he had some phenomenal games for us and did a great job out there just making plays and just getting after guys, and just got more and more competitive as the year went on, because I think his confidence level just continued to grow. And he did a fantastic job on the edge for us, and even coming up and setting the corner. I think it was the Corsicana game. I believe it was that game. He played really well. It was that one of the Kaufman game, and man, he had a big ball game. And just because he was being physical outside and getting after guys, and did a super job. So to see him mature too, where he came from, from a freshman to a sophomore, and then his senior year really figure out, hey, I can play. He's athletic enough to play it. He's a fast kid too, and so for him to figure out and gain the confidence to just cut it loose, and that's what it's about, and I think that's part of the thing that helps you in life, that you learn through sports, you learn through athletics, those things to understand, hey, I can do. A lot of people are believing in me, but I got to believe in myself, and I can go accomplish this. I just think that's one of those skills that attributes that you learn through that, and I just think that's helped you be a successful adult, and I know he's going to be successful at whatever he does.
Very good. Running back got a few runs in the by-district game. Caleb Miles.
Yeah, Caleb, man, you wouldn't know Caleb's out there. What a outstanding young man. Just a quiet young man, a quiet worker. He kind of moved away, moved back, was in and out with us a little bit, and but a great kid that did whatever we asked him to do. We found some spots for him to contribute. He's there, worked his butt off every day, but just a humble, meek, quiet young man that didn't mind working, enjoyed being around his teammates. I respect a lot with him. I really do. And his work ethic and again his attitude and the way he just came to practice every day and just worked.
Yeah. All right, let's take third internal break, come back and wrap up the seniors. Still quite a few of them to go through, but we'll get there each and every one. Let's take a break, back in a moment. Back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show with Coach Greg Owens. He's running down the 2018 Wildcats. Actually, they're graduates of 19, but they're playing a football season of 18. And we're covering each and every of the seniors. And the next guy, a wide receiver, defensive back, Kayson Edwards.
Yeah, Payson, another young man, a receiver, DB, can do a lot of things. And one of those guys that just special teams guy, wherever he needs, smart young man, really good baseball player, and a pitcher and a shortstop, and those things. And he and Jace both are. They're kind of my age too. I got a special relationship with these guys, so they pester me every single day, seventh period, and I want to choke them most days. But what great kids! I'm telling you, they work their tail off. They're unselfish guys, and I'm telling you, Payson's just a great kid. I can't say more than that. I mean, he's going to be an outstanding young man and going to do well in life. And he played a vital role for us. He played safety again, another one of those rotating guys in, and he also was a receiver. And we could slide him to either side, X and Z, and play both of those sides. And then we used him on special teams too. Smart kid that understood. He just understands athletics. He understands the simple plays, doing the little stuff, knowing when things are going to happen. And he's a very intelligent. He really analyzes things a lot. And I'd get on to him sometimes for analyzing too much. Hey, just shut up and play, man. Just go. But he's the one that always kind of walks up behind me and kind of reminds me of something. And I go, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. So he's the guy that really takes in and sees the whole big picture, So he's probably going to be running a company one day, and he's the CEO or whatever. He's the guy that sees it. He sees the big picture, and he knows how all of it really works. And what a great attitude, and he just brought a lot of fun. And he's one of these quiet guys, but he is – to sit and have a conversation with him, it's very intriguing. I'm telling you, he just makes you laugh, and there's just a lot of stuff that he thinks about from a different angle that you don't really see. But no, he's a great guy and did a great job for us, and I'm so glad he's out there competing with these guys and being a part of his buddies. And that's another one of those guys that just love being around and playing with their friends. He understood. Hey, I'm not going to go play college football, but I want to play high school football, and I want this memory to play with my buddies. Now, he may get a chance to go play college baseball. I don't know. But I appreciate that about him, just understanding the whole high school experience and being a part of all of it.
Very good. Defensive back Marquis Hood.
Marquis Hood, man.
Okay.
Man, yes sir. Man played a little corner for us. Great job. He was just fun to be around. Young man. He didn't get to play a whole lot, but man, he had a great attitude most days. When Coach Warren didn't get on him too bad for that day, but man, he's just fun to be around. I'm telling you, and nobody had more fun on Friday night, when we played at the Star, than he did. Uh-huh. He loved being inside that arena and being in there and being a part of that. He got some snaps on defense that day, and he would make some good plays. And we would have a fun time with man. We'd have some one-on-one stuff. We kind of sometimes he's got a brother playing for us too. It's a sophomore, so they had a little sibling rivalry. So we'd have these one-on-one. We'd always finish seemed like with man or the Hohenberger brothers or man and his brother at a one-on-one tackling drill. And they just thought that was the greatest thing ever. And sometimes the young one would win, sometimes the old one would win, but it was a big time for us. And so I had a great experience with him. So yes, sir, it was fun having man a part of our program.
All right, wide receiver Mason Arnold.
Outstanding young man, moved here. His family moved here from Austin. Hard worker, great kid. He didn't get a whole lot of snaps and a whole lot of playing time, but there is not a better teammate, positive person than Mason Arnold. Every day a smile on his face, working his tail off. He did rotate in some at receiver, but man, I just love that kid to death. I'm telling you, he has got the gentle spirit about him and just cares about people. And man, he just worked. I mean, for him not to get as much playing time, as hard as he worked, we wanted to get him more. But it's just one of those things. But he didn't mind. He just loved. He's kind of like I said a while ago. He just loved the experience. He loved just being a part of the team, being part of the guys, and I mean every day he's one of the first ones at practice every day. He's dressed up, ready to go, and he is always smiling. I mean, but a great kiddo, and got to get to know his parents a little bit, and then they came from I think the Lake Travis system down there in the Austin area, and man, he's a great kid. I just can't say it any better than that.
All right, Caleb Mills, linebacker.
Caleb Mills, another young man, didn't play a ton for us. He's a young man. We asked him to play down as a junior and get better and get some reps, so that he was able to come up and give us some reps. So he rotated in some for us at linebacker, but again, a great attitude, a hard-working kid. Just positive all the time. I mean, he didn't. I know he's disappointed, discouraged. He didn't play much in some ball games, but I mean, he didn't show the next week when he came back to work. And he's just a good kid. I just didn't like talking to him. I mean, it's just every day we'd have a private conversation just about whatever, just about life, just about stuff going on, and his outlook on all that is all positive. He's going to be a successful young man too, because he's got it all kind of figured out.
All right. I like these football players that also were in the band. Evan Rushing, and couldn't kick him out of the starting lineup. He was always out there. He jumped on somebody's back the other night, and we called his name on a good tackle, chasing from behind, right in the middle of the line.
Evan was a guy that, again, it's hard for us to find a spot for him. I mean, he's really got a body for a linebacker, but he wasn't. His athleticism was what we needed for to be at linebacker. He wasn't fast enough to go and do that. But he's as tough as they come. And he's got a motor like nobody's business. So Coach V, you got him, And like you said, when he got in the starting lineup, he didn't come out of the starting lineup. He is undersized. He's playing, I don't know what he weighed. He probably weighed 190 pounds, maybe 190, and he's playing against 300-pounders. But he is tough now. and he can get himself worked up and riled up and just compete like nobody's business. So, and he's a guy, I said a while ago, he's pretty tough on himself too. He's a guy, and but he played with a lot of emotion. He was tough again, and you have to be if you're going to play on the D-line and get in there and be undersized against some guys. We went against some really good offensive lines this year. This is probably the best group of offensive lines we played against, and then since I've been coaching, as different, just groups of them. Yeah. I mean, Kaufman was fantastic. Of course, Cannon was fantastic. Forney was fantastic. Royce City had a great line. Ennis had those monsters over there. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the best groups of just individual offensive line groups. You're going, wow, every year and year out. So, I mean, I'm going to brag on our defensive linemen a ton. And Daniel Moreno and Bryce and these guys. I mean, it was tough in there. It was tough sledding, and man, there's not much glory in there with all that. But I mean, Edmund was a guy that just battled his tail off. A guy I could depend on special teams too. A guy that we brought. I think he came up his sophomore year and might have played some for us too, if I'm not recall, just special teams wise. So he's a veteran up there too. Hey, Evan, I need you to do this, change this, and okay, Coach, we got it. So he's a guy that would come to the sideline like D. Dugan used to do last year. Coach, they're giving us this. I said, okay, stay it this way, and he could get that communicated to those other guys, understood what we were talking about. That was that experience in there too, and being able to make adjustments on the fly. And he was that kind of guy. And then he goes and marches in the band at halftime. He comes in, he's red-faced and tired, and sucks down some Gatorade and eats a little snack bar, and he's back out here. Here we go again. So, yeah, he's a fun one.
When I'm sitting on the sideline, he was one of them that used to always say, "Interview me. I'm ready to talk. Interview me."
Well, he kind of came out of his bashful phase. I mean, pretty quick. I don't know. Senior year, there's another side to him.
Oh my goodness. How about linebacker Hunter Sontag for you?
Hunter Sontag. Hunter's a young man too that we asked to play down on the junior varsity. He's a big hit guy. He had some huge hits as a junior and as a sophomore. He's a tough kiddo. He really is. Now, you talk about a guy that's got some dreams now. He started his own shirt company already.
Wow.
He's going to go, as soon as he graduates, he's going to go to Florida with his uncle in part of a shrimping business. And then after that, and he also wants to go into the military. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but he's got some big dreams and stuff, and he knows what he's going to do. And that's one of the things we started, one of our sponsors started doing that last year with the seniors. Tell us what your future plans are. I mean, some interesting stuff that, sometimes as a coach, we don't sit down and talk about all that kind of stuff necessarily, but to have these kids write that stuff down, it's like, man, these guys are thinking and they're planning. And I think that's a great exercise for us to do, because they have to really realize, am I on track for my goals? And I think we're doing a better job at the high school. I'm getting off tangent here, but at doing those things, career plans, what do you want to be, and trying to help kids, guide them towards that direction and get the education they needed. But Hunter's a special teams guy, kickoff return, punt for me, did a great job of all that stuff. He was a backup linebacker inside. Again, a tough kid. He came in, rotated in quite a bit. It depends on the team again. I mean, if it's running straight at you, Hunter's one of those guys we want in there with Daniel. I mean, he's just one of those kids you want in there that will get physical and get after you. And some of those games where they're just running straight at you, and Bryce was undersized, then Hunter might have got more of the reps inside. But when it was a speed team trying to get outside, of course, you better have Bryce in there going to run those guys down. So, but Hunter, he had a great attitude. I mean, just worked his tail off, was a hard worker, very excitable young man, too. He had a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and get him and Russian together, and they kind of go crazy sometimes. So you got to tone them down a little bit. But he's been great job. I'm so glad he got to play with us all the way through.
When I always thought about Jermon Bryant Amos, I think about a big, tall punter back there. But my goodness, what a interesting offensive weapon he turned into this year, multifaceted.
Jermon has got the body. You don't know what to do with Jermon. I mean, I go back, I kind of think of a Colton Nash when I think of Jermon. This big, tall kid that grew up playing some skill. He really wants to be a skill kid out here, out wide, and go run, but you just doesn't have the speed for doing that. But he's got this huge size, So, I think we even looked at him sometimes at offensive line. We played him as a defensive lineman, all those things. But we settled in this offense with this hybrid tight end. And just really fits Jermon really well, because it is kind of it's a skill / lineman spot, and with his length and his leverage was really good. And he just kept getting better at it. And I think Jermon, the upside is still there for Jermon. If he wants it bad enough and his work ethic's willing to go get it, I mean, his body can still fill out and develop, because you walk out and he walks out the bus, you look at him suit up, I mean, he's a monster out there. But he still needs some strength. But again, his body's still maturing. I wish we had him one more year for that body to go ahead and mature and really figure out and put him where he needs to. And he's got good hands. Not great hands right now, but they're good. He made some great catches, one behind his head. I think everybody remembers running right down the field, and he made some big catches. And he's a target.
Diving catch down there.
Yeah, a great diving catch for, I believe it was a first down. Yeah. Kept a drive going, and then he made some big catches too to get us first down. So he's that big target. When the coin broke down, he was looking for somebody to get it to. Jermon was one sitting right there that he could see, and here we go, give me the ball and throw it up to me and let me go get it. So just to see him grow up and mature as a young man too, took on some leadership role for us offensively too, just among the skill guys and all those guys really. But just to see him grow up and do that, I mean, and he's got a tremendous leg. He just hasn't been trained or worked on it enough for punting, but man, he can boom it. Yeah. I mean, we've seen him kick them 70. I mean, just turn the thing over. And so the consistency of him working on that and settling in there, that might be a future for him too. I don't know what it holds for him, but yeah, he's a talented young man, and it's been great watching him grow up and him mature, and we're going to wish him the very best.
All right. Another one of these D linemen you'll like to brag on right there on the nose, Ignacio Nacho Guerrero.
Nacho, sure. Man, when I go back to toughness, I go back to that, and I've used it quite a bit today. Golly, here's a nose guard. He's 240. He's sitting in here, and I just told you about the Lions we had to face this year. Right. That guy right there was an anchor for us. I mean, a game or two, he stands up and he gets pushed back, and me and Coach V are yelling at him, and it never happened again. I mean, he finally got locked in with his mind. He's a young man that didn't play with us last year, but he came back out this year and did all he had to do to get back in, and we were sure tickled to death to have him. He's a guy, when he was younger, we played him at linebacker, and then he just kind of grew into this body and again, the toughness of him and the motor of him, his leadership in there, those guys listen to him, And so he and Jose really just anchored that front down, and they got rushing all riled up and got him going. And then some young guys kind of came along, and Peoples and Romeo, those guys, and then Michael Narrington we're going to talk about in a minute. Right. It was really an underachieving defensive line guys. You just look at them physically, but man, they overachieved like nobody's business. They were just guys that could just go cut loose, and it was all on pure emotion, all right, and just energy, and just their will to, we're not going to get whipped here. And every week we're challenging those guys. They're bigger and stronger than you guys. Yep. What are you going to do about it? And then those guys, they fed off all that. I mean, and he's a young man that already has 2 or 3 businesses, I think. I mean, he's going to be okay in life, and but there's that resolve about him to take care of his business. He's a fighter. He's tough. And he takes care of his business in the classroom for the most part too. I mean, he's driven. He's got some goals and knows what he wants to do. And we're sure glad he was in there to be our nose and anchor that line down. Absolutely. Well, you alluded to him. Let's go ahead and talk about defensive lineman Michael Arrington. Yeah, Michael was a guy that just worked himself into playing. And I think if I mess this one up, he'll get on to me. But I think last year we had him on the JV as a junior, and he got, unbelievable reps there that really allowed him to come and play with us this year. And then Coach V, he pushed him probably harder than he pushed anybody else, because there was some potential there with Michael. He had to believe that he could do it, and he had to believe every down he had to sell out. And he got to that point, and he did. I mean, he began to practice like that. He began to play like that, and he gave unbelievable minutes with Nacho. He and Nacho rotated in, because, again, Damian Lewis one time, some kid out, he was talking to our team about some stuff, and some kid, hey, what's it like to be in the NFL and play defensive lineman? And Damian said, it's like a car wreck in there every single time, every single snap. And that's the way it really was with these guys, because of the nature of offense we played in this district. Was everybody was downhill, run game, hit you in the mouth. It was like a car wreck. And Michael came in and did a phenomenal job of just he and Nacho in there just getting after centers and playing hard, and just a lot of that's want to and effort and all that kind of stuff. Maybe not the most talented guys, not the most physical guys, not just just dominant, but man, because of their heart and their passion and the way they played. And I give a lot of credit. Now, this is going to be recorded, I know, but Coach V, I give him a lot of credit because he got those guys riled up. He got on the play. He demands it out of them every single day in practice, and those guys responded to him, and they did a great job for us.
Yeah, he was got my award for loudest coach. You could hear V all over the practice field. He was letting them know he was there, that he hadn't forgotten about them. Well, it's off-it time now. We're going to have off-it time here. We'll start with your left tackle, Philip Rader, another small guy out there at left tackle.
Yeah, Philip played some as a junior on the JV for us. Philip's a late bloomer. I mean, his body just filling out. He's a kid that you wish now was a junior fixing to be a senior, because of where his body is starting to get to. So he was always, we never really had a spot for him. He played D-line, he played some offensive line for us, and then he finally decided, I'm going to play this year, and got serious about it. Body developed with him, and he did a phenomenal job for us at tackle. The kind of tackles we really want to have in this offense, a long, rangy guy that'll fight you and get after it, and he is a competitor now. He'll get after it. He likes to joke around a lot. He likes to be silly a lot, but when he gets out there, I mean, he is the guy that will compete. With Charlie Maddox on the other side that we're getting to, both of those guys are phenomenal competitors on the field, and they did a great job. They're undersized offensive linemen, but they're really long and rangy with arms, and they've got really good feet. Philip's a guy that you almost like. It's almost like the Jermon deal. He's an offensive lineman. He's your receiver a little bit. Did we play him at defensive? He's just that guy that finally, when he kind of filled out a little bit and he understood what his role and what we needed him to do, he was able to play for us. So we are so excited that he's out there still battling and getting after it. And we felt good about running to his side or Charlie's side. Both those guys did a great job, and they're tough on themselves too. When they'd mess up, man, I mean, they were mad at themselves more than anybody about, hey, messing this deal up or whatever, or not the technique. So, but I mean, great competitor, great job for us. Can't say enough. Just great job of competing and getting after it.
Another guy in the mix, offensive line, Hunter Salvarino.
Hunter's a young man who just kept battling and kept stuck with it all the way through his senior year, and he played some. We bounced him up and down the whole offensive line. He's played center, he's played guard, he's played some tackle. He came in and did a great job for us on PAT and field goal. He's a young man that I'm glad has stuck with it and just kept going. He's the most undersized lineman that we had this year with those guys, but understood his role and his time, and when he got to come in and play and did a great job and had a great attitude. And these linemen, just like all these kids, but these linemen are really close too. I mean, there's some really close friendships with all those guys, and they just like being around each other, and just being a part of the whole group. They understood that. A lot of these guys know they're not going to play college football, but it's still they're smart enough and understood the experience they have as a group right now, and just love competing for their high school.
And Coach Offit says they're the closest group. And
yeah.
I think each of your assistants would probably say, no, my group is.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But Coach Offit, I mean, I've seen those guys. They, happy birthday to somebody, they'll all sing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Emotional leader, I think, of that offensive line, right where you would expect the leader to be at center, Ethan Rogers.
Yeah, Ethan's, I'm going to retract a bunch of my words now. He may be tougher on himself than anybody. But, he's a guy, Ethan tore his ACL. All right, so we lost Ethan. Last two games, I'm losing track of it right now, but it seems like we didn't have them the last 2 or 3 weeks too. So here's two guys right in the middle of your offense. You got Decorian at quarterback. You got Ethan at a 320-pound center sitting up here that's moving people around all over the place, and the guy barking out all the codes and checking all the pass coverage and all the protections and all that. And, you lose those two guys. So, I mean, that was tough sledding. Mm-hmm. And I hate it for him that he didn't get to play those last few ball games, but he's done a great job for us. I think we've had him up since he was a sophomore, and he's played in various spots from guard. He can play across the whole line for us. Seems like he's played some tackle when he was young. We moved him to guard, and then he ended up. Coach Offit turned him into a center for us last year, and because he wants a really big center if he can have one that can move and can snap. And Ethan did a nice job for us. He was just a big force in there. So some of that run game, you need those big bodies against some of those guys where we're going against, and he brought that to the table. He brought a lot of energy and very athletic young man, and he got after it. But he is driven. He's a smart young man too, and so there's a lot that we missed when we didn't have him the last part of the game, and I hate that. Like we talked about earlier, those other guys that got to play and come back from that injury, he was not fortunate enough to do that. Just where he was playing, you you can play without an ACL, but it is your leg is loose. There's no power. You can't hardly get down. And he tried to hustle through that deal, and finally he said, we just can't do it. So that's just one of those sad deals that happen. But appreciate him and all his hard work and all he's done, and he's going to be a successful person too.
All right, well, continue the theme, offensive line, a kid that had his 18th birthday on by-district night and overcame a horrendous hand injury, Coach, that probably threatened his playing career, but he was able to come back and start there at right tackle.
Yeah, I'm proud of Jacob for, and there's a lot of emotional things in that when he had his hand injury that he went through. I mean, it's just maybe more emotional than physical that he had to fight through and bounce back and overcome and all that, and so I'm so proud of him. I mean, a big guy that played guard for us, tough kid. You just get in there and he'll mix it up, and his hand did limit some of his playing, but also he had a few other little injuries there. We lost him for, I don't know, maybe a 3-game stretch in the middle of this whole thing too. Which hurt him and hurt us and everybody else, because he's a big body. He's about 340, and he can move some guys out of the way now. He's a road grader guy, a tough kiddo, get after it. For a big fella, has some great feet, can bounce around a little bit, but just the energy and emotion. But I'm so excited for him and the opportunity, and that he got to come back and his career wasn't over, and he got to play with his buddies and be a part of all that. And I still think he has some future surgeries for that hand to kind of finish that, and that's what we talked about a year ago, whenever his playing career was over and all that kind of stuff. They're still going to do some things with his hand, but he's fortunate to still have that and be a part of it. And again, he's a close-knit guy with all the rest of these guys, and I'm just glad they all were in there together and were able to do that, and he was able to finish out his career too.
Yeah, I tried to make a tackle out of him. He was the guard on that right side, but let's talk about the tackle that was right next to him, and that's a great story also. Another kid that we thought his career might be over last year, and he comes back, he's your starting right tackle, Charlie Maddox.
We've had some scary moments with these guys and some really, life and death serious injuries, and Charlie was one that had an accident right after practice one day and split his head open, and it was a bad deal. So, you never knew what his future held. You just worried about his life, first of all. Right. He's going to be healthy enough and all that. And for him to come back and be able to play his senior year is extremely emotional for everybody involved. At our coffee this year, he and his dad got to get up and talk about that a little bit. And you just realize how important just life is to you. You're in those kind of moments, because in that moment there, none of us knew what was going to happen in his future, or even at that moment we were there. So happy, and again, the emotions that go through all that stuff with him, but he's recovered. What a great kid, what a great leader, what a great person, and he was athletically, he was a guy, not the most athletic tackle we've ever had, but man, he was a technician guy that just figured out a way to get it done. He's going to battle. It didn't matter how outmatched he really was. He's going to find a way to fight and to find a way to win and find a way to hold up in this situation and to get the job done. And that's just the way he is. He's a survivor, and he is just a tough kiddo to get after. So excited for him and whatever his future holds. A sharp young man. Again, he's got a bright future ahead of him too.
You had us talk to all your assistants about their groups back in spring football, I believe, when it was. And, boy, Coach Offit got very emotional when he was talking about Charlie Maddox coming back. And now let's go to the Ponderosa. How about that for Hayden Daniel? You think about Hoss Cartwright, the big Hoss in that offensive line. Probably the biggest of the Wildcats are right there with Janitas, I would think.
Well, he's a big human being. I'm gonna tell you
he's
that.
Large.
He's 6'4". This thing on my sheet right now says 325, but I think these guys, we got them bigger as the season went on. We didn't do as much running stuff, conditioning stuff.
Did we mention Hayden Daniels' name? I think I talked all about him, but I'm not sure I mentioned his name.
Big Hoss. Okay,
Big Hoss.
It's Hayden. Yeah, what a great kid too. Quiet. I don't know. He and I might have had 3 conversations this whole high school. He just doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to guys too much, and he just smiles at you and says okay. And Coach Offit tries to get his motor cranked up, and he's just a big kid, an athletic kid. We played him across the board. He's been center, guard, tackle. He's done the whole gamut for us, the whole deal. So a big guy that's athletic like that, and he can lock on guys. When he locked on guys, he just got better as the season went on. You start pulling a guy like that around the corner. towards linebackers, it's going to create some lanes. It's going to create some holes. And so he did a super job for us. I love him to death. I mean, I think his heart's in agriculture and all of that, and which is his family business. And but anyway, he's done a great job for us. And you know, is he excited? I don't know. Is he mad? I don't know. I mean, he showed no emotion really.
Yeah.
You know, but it was fun to see him on video. He would get excited, just show a little bit of excitement on video after a good play, and you could tell when somebody got under his skin just a little bit too. He unleashed on them.
Wow.
You know, would bring it. We were trying to get that out of him all the time. Again, close with these guys. They're all so close, and he's another one of that group that's really in there together. And they help some of our younger linemen just kind of come along. I see the next name on our list is Fredo, and he's a sophomore. But I mean that young man, he wrote a little tweet out about how thankful he was for all these senior linemen that kind of took him in under their wing.
Yeah.
You know, and they weren't down on. They just encouraged him. You know, so it made him feel a part of the group for a sophomore that could be isolated with all these seniors, but they did a great job, and they're all a part of that group, and, you know, and Hoss is right in there in the middle of them. And so it's fun. It's fun to see these guys and see what the future holds for them all and how successful they're going to be.
A year or so ago, during a rather lazy spring practice, this kid started yelling on defense, just yelling at the top of his lungs, and he was playing like it was 4th and 1 in the championship game and everything. Turned out to be Jose Rodriguez, and I thought to myself, that kid is destined for the varsity with that kind of attitude. Coach Abram will find him and you know, find a place for him on defense, and we certainly have.
Well, again, you go back, you look at his size. I mean, he's a 220 guy, you know, 5'10", 220, and again, it's heart and passion. We talked about all the offensive linemen, him and Nacho. Those two guys, again, Jose was played with D last year, was a vital part of our defense last year. It was really good, and he kind of stepped in that leadership role too. He and Nacho both just said, hey, here we go. That you can make adjustments with them. Jose's usually the one that V's yelling at on the field to make adjustment across the front because he's been in all of it. He's been in so many fronts and defenses. And you remember the game here? Yes, sir. He's a guy that deep snap for us, short snap for us, played on special teams for us. He's a guy that played some running back when he grew up. He played linebacker when he grew up. We put him down on the D-line. You know, he can do a lot of stuff, and that pretty athletic kiddo through all that stuff. And so he did a great job of just being in there and just, again, the theme is toughness. He's just a tough kid. And he just fought through a bunch of stuff being undersized and really did that. So he brought the emotion and the toughness and those things to it. You mix him with these other guys, him and Daniel and Nacho, you know, those guys are kind of the ones that are holding down the middle in that defense. You know, they're the ones, and Jose can play all the positions all the way across on the defensive line, and those are the guys you just look to. If they're having a good night and their motor's running, that's the whole thing. Get their motor to running, and everybody's going to feed off their passion. And he's one of the driving forces in there, which you're saying a lot of that stuff, you got to show emotion, and he's shown emotion his whole life. Another young man that's already got a kind of side businesses going. I mean, he works. I mean, he understands that. So he's got a work ethic about him, and he's already driven to do those things. So he gets it and understands and very mature for his age. And, you know, he's going to be successful in life.
All right. You've said that over and over. This is
yes,
an exceptional class, sounds
yes,
like.
Sir.
Finally, the last of the seniors is another defensive lineman, Hunter Goodson.
Yeah, Hunter, outstanding young man. Fun to be at practice every day with him. He didn't get to play a lot in this year, but man, what a great attitude he had. He was just a great kid. He also has a sibling that's a sophomore on the team, so it's kind of unique. We had 3 or 4 of those scenarios there,
right.
And so it was kind of fun. But man, he loved just being there. He's going to be at film first every Saturday morning. He's going to be the last one to leave at practice. Had a fun time all the time. He loved the experience. He loved, you know, being a Wildcat football player. I mean, there's no other way around it. It didn't matter what you ask him. If it's to play a scout team role today, you're going to get everything he's got. He just ate it up. So I appreciate him so much and his effort and his work ethic, you know, and just to do whatever we wanted to do. And, again, another great team player. And I don't want you to skip one guy.
Oh, I did skip one.
There's one more I'm going to throw at you, and that's Carson Bridges. Carson Bridges was our video tech. Carson, and you would not know Carson was even there either, another silent guy. But, man, for the last 4 years, he has been invaluable to us. He understands how to run all of our video stuff. He gets there, he gets it put in, so when coaches walk off the practice field, their video's sitting right there ready to go. So it helps shorten their day a little bit too and all that stuff. And he loved just being a part of these guys. He's a power lifter for us, but he's in our period every single day, and he's videoing and taking care of little things like that most people don't know that even take place. And, man, what a great attitude and fun. It's been fun to see him come out of his shell a little bit too. So he's feeling pretty good as a senior and all this. So he enjoys it. He's going to have a great powerlifting season. Excited for him with that. But we sure do appreciate all that he's done for us and on the video side of it. And in the last ball game, because I let Philip Manning go, he's shooting our varsity ball games for us in the Star the other night too. I believe he had the end zone copy that he was shooting. So he understands all the technical part and getting all that stuff going. He knows how to fix it when it breaks and do those things. But we appreciate him as well.
Yeah, demand on him too. I've heard those coaches yell at those videographers if you guys are not getting what you need in practice. So pressure on those guys too.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, the heat of those coaches comes down on them too, but they do a great job, as Coach Owens mentions. Well, that's all of them, and that wraps up the season. We appreciate Coach Owens so much. Another good year on the Coaches Show, and that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. I'm Don Julian. So long, everybody.